We're 7 weeks into this now after tonight kicks off. Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned how the Steelers are kind of rounding into the team that a lot of people maybe expected them to be right now. Going into Week 7, a lot of like the good teams have kind of established their identity. If you're one of those teams who hasn't yet, like, is there still a chance for those teams to kind of, make something of this season? Or at this point, do you kind of know who you are and how you have to win, and those teams that don't are kind of shit out of luck?
No, absolutely. You always remember November, but what's most important is December, and that'll never change in this league. You see it, I don't want to say maybe every year, but it happens. It happened for us in 2010, and we've had other teams that got hot at the end of the year and went deep into the playoffs. So yeah, that's still the case. I don't think that'll change, especially with the extra game. 17, I think it's probably even more so. There's an opportunity, and I love what the league's done with the division games, still at the end of the year. So everything lays up for that. So I think you can definitely still get hot and bring it. But I think really when you get to this 6, 7, 8, 9, week mark, I always felt that we work all off season. You build your roster, you're taking the steps through the off season program. You get the young guys, integrated, and you go off in camp and you have this really great idea how you want to play and what your team looks like and how they're going to grow, and then all of a sudden the injury challenge hits and all the other challenges hits, and so you're not maybe really playing the way you hope to be playing or like to be playing. Cincinnati, losing Joe Burrow, I mean that's a huge hit, and I know we'll talk about the game here in a minute, but
I like so hosting.
Yeah. What's that?
You're hosting. You're teasing. You're giving teases right there. That was a tease. You're a host.
Okay.
That's good.
Well, see, you're bringing me along in this TV world. I appreciate that, too. I'm learning, too.
Yeah, well, the teams are learning as well, and it feels like as long as the challenges are minimal, the injury challenge can change your team later in the season, but it feels like at this point we're starting to learn a little bit. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, definitely. But I do think Pittsburgh is starting to be the team that we all thought they would. I love it when Aaron end up going to Pittsburgh because, the defense, Mike Tomlin, the veteran coordinators, TA, Terry Austin, and then, Danny, and you also got, Arthur there too. So, I mean, you got veteran coordinators, you got a lot of experience. It's a veteran football team. You're going to be in every game because of that defense and who's won more 2-minute games than Aaron Rodgers. So that was how I viewed their team on how I think they're going to be able to grind through the season, win the close games. They're going to be there each and every week, and take care of the football. They're off to a great start in the turnover ratio. So I really like the identity of that team. And I'm going to look at Cincinnati, watching the Cincinnati Green Bay game. I think Cincinnati may have found who they need to be, moving forward with Joe. I thought Joe Flacco in the second half, just his ball distribution and the time clock that he was playing, he gave them a particular chance to be in that game in the second half. So I would anticipate that Cincinnati would try to play Pittsburgh tonight, a little bit the way they played in the second half of the Green Bay game. So those are the things you have to adjust. Who you want to be, but who you have to be. That's always the question. I always felt as a head coach that you're always looking at as you get through the course of the season. So, but I think Pittsburgh's really. I love the experience level that they have on their team. I thought the veteran guys that they brought in all the way through have been excellent. If they can stay healthy, I think they're just going to get stronger and stronger each week.
As Coach McCarthy teased it, we will talk about tonight's game right now. Coach, you don't make picks outright, okay? And we respect that for you. But you do give us how you feel about games. And if you were to be picking games, you would be 5-1 on these Thursday nights. Atta baby!
Let's go, Coach!
If you were to be, that's very good. Now, you talk about how week 7 you start to know what team you have and everything like that. 6 games into it's not a fluke. First couple you might have just been blindside or born. You know what I mean? You might be able, you might be just blind squirrel finding a nut in there. In broadside of born, you might got lucky there. That been the case. 6 in being 5-1, you're seeing the board here, brother. Yeah. And tonight it's another divisional game. AFC North football. You talked about Flacco in the second half, maybe becoming who he's supposed to be, not just who they want to be, but who they have to be. And then on the other side, you got Aaron Rodgers, the Pittsburgh Steelers, what you said looks like the team that is everything we hoped they would be. Now, it was -4.5 at the ESPN bet like an hour ago, 45 minutes ago. It is now returned to -5.5 as of a minute ago. So it's -5.5 across the board. Bengals plus 5.5 across the board. Could have stole a 4.5 for the Steelers at ESPN Bet for like the last 36 minutes or so. It's all across the board. 5. How do you feel about this? Is that a lot of points? I saw a little grimace on your face there whenever it was at 5.5 as opposed to 4.5. Feels like 5 was your line in your head that you're making, if you're making lines and if you're making picks, Coach.
Well, I was definitely hoping it'd be less than 6. I think the biggest thing, as I think I've already said, I like the way Pittsburgh's playing. I think they're playing to their identity. I always look at the big picture, and it's something like, we always put in front of the team on Wednesdays. You put the stats up, kind of the vital signs, total offense points and all the, the regular stats you see each and every. There you go, perfect. And if you look at the numbers, when I see Cincinnati always in the 30s, but they lost their starting quarterback. So, you're going to get knocked out of the top 10 right away on some of those things. That's just the way it goes because there's a transition of playing, with the backup quarterbacks and things like that. So I don't really feel as bad about those numbers, about Cincinnati as far as those numbers. I don't think they truly reflect it because I do like the way they tried to play against Green Bay, and I think the way they played in the second half is a formula for them to win games. But what I love about Pittsburgh is, they're taking care of the most important. I mean, their turnover ratio is outstanding, and that's who they are. If you take care of the football, run the football, obviously their run offense versus their Cincy's run defense looks to be potential advantage for Pittsburgh. So I think the important things that you have to do when you go into a road, on the road is run the football, take care of the football, and I think clearly with Aaron, with the ball in his hand at the end of the game is somewhere where you want to be. So I know we're not supposed to pick games here, but I'm going to go home next week, so I got to take the Steelers.
Okay, we knew that was going to be the case. Actually predicted that you were potentially going to be a little biased about going home now. Back there at Greenfield, we saw it last week. Going back with 2 rings in the family now, not just one here as we bounce back to Pittsburgh. Now tonight, AFC North football. Pittsburgh Steelers, Cincinnati Bengals, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Flacco. -5.5 for the Pittsburgh Steelers on every single sports book. You could have got them at -4.5 about an hour ago. It is switched back. Everybody sees it the same way. Almost a touchdown favorite in Cincinnati in front of Andrew Whitworth, the ruler of the jungle. AJ, how do you see it? We're fresh off a tie, brother. We're fresh off a tie, and we're tied for the season, too. We're 3-3 for the season, and we're fresh off a tie last week. So whenever you talk about what tonight means, it's a potential perfect slate for one of us or both of us if we see it the exact same way.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this is Coach McCarthy. I know I got to go home next week, so he's taking the Steelers. Obviously, he usually doesn't like a lot of points like that, especially in the division. I've gone back and forth with this one, but you know what? Honestly, give me Joe Flacco and give me the Bengals plus 5.5 at home.
Wow.
I don't
Especially, didn't you hear Big Mike say?
Guess who's not invited to Thanksgiving
They may have found it.
You heard what he
found it a little bit in the second half.
he did. He said Joe Flacco, they're doing what they need to do to win football games, which is such a football coach way to talk about a team that's decimated by injuries and also in a situation that a lot of people don't think they'll be able to win. Football coach looking at them and go, they have ways to win games, though. And they started playing ways to win game is what he said last week.
Yeah, but AJ kind of let it off with his real feelings. Big Mike has to go home to Pittsburgh. AJ's got to live in Ohio. And that's exactly why he picked the Bengals.
Oh, yeah, and he's probably going back to Centerville for some celebration of him punting 50 yards,
exactly,
30 touchdowns, some sort of
homecoming king.
Do you have a celebratory AJ Hawk Day back there at Centerville for the Elks?
No, we do not.
Everyone dresses up as Hawks. Don't lie, Hawk.
Yep.
Everyone dresses up as Hawks, walks around the hall. Everyone has to get 33 tackles today.
Okay, and also rush for 130 yards.
Yeah.
And they even have the wings.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everybody, you got to go like this while you're walking. And it gets kind of tight in the hallways, but they do it for AJ Hawk. AJ Hawk. AJ Hawk. They got to turn side. Oops.
Or that might be how you rack up a couple tackles. Instigate a little contact, get a little brouhaha going, and then boom. You just got a fucking melee in the hallway.
Right here underneath the...
Teachers hate it.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Little chicken wing. You get a little actual hawk wing, I guess.
Yeah,
because you got to...
Yeah, bigger.
It'd be tough. Teachers are doing it, too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They hate it,
because
their costumes smell. They've been doing it for years.
Think about, because every year they got to do it since he did that. Think about them having to hold their books while they're...
Tough.
Like this.
What do you even do with a backpack? Beak?
Well, that's part of the Hawk Day is working out.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
Shoulders and traps are dying by the end of that. Yeah.
That's what you love.
Yeah, that's what
That's your favorite part.
Centerville.
It means you're growing. It means I'm growing if I'm sore, right?
Amen.
That's right. Pain means gains.
Well said.
Dude,
Always.
that's what we're doing. Flap.
You're saying you're not in the Bengals?
Flap. 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 If this goes in, I'll take the Bengals.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sure you'll make a good, solid attempt.
Did
That
that
was it,
go
right?
in?
I don't think
That
so,
one in.
but boy,
Yeah,
that was
nice
right
job.
on line.
They might.
I don't know what to do here.
This is a 5-point game. That's what we just learned.
I don't know.
We just learned it's a 5-point game, and you can get 4.5 or 5.5.
We got to get an answer here.
Holy shit.
It went
okay,
in.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that one did go
Trust
in.
it. You got to trust
You
it.
don't have a choice.
You have to
You have
trust
to.
it.
Joey Flacco plus 5.5.
You got to trust
I mean, if you go back and listen to the beginning of this show, just 2 hours ago, at this exact moment, it's 2:16. We're 16 minutes in 2 hours ago. You would not believe that. I mean, that's two balls there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have to.
That's the universe talking to you.